everyone, Synthetic Future here, and today we're going to take a look at two small plugins by AudioThing. It's MiniBit and MiniVerb. These plugins are fairly simple, so it should be a pretty straightforward video, and that's why I'm featuring both of them in one video instead of doing a video per thing. So this intro you just heard is from a video game called Tale of the Jungle, which is a game I used to play a very long time ago, and I thought it would be fitting to have an 8-bit synth do an 8-bit track, kind of like an homage. Anyways, let's initialize MiniBit and let's take a look at what we have going on here. So I will disable MiniVerb for now, and we're just going to take a look at MiniBit. Also, if I sound a little bit annoyed, it's because this is literally third time I'm recording this, because I had some hard drive issues, so it's a bit frustrating. Anyways, MiniBit. MiniBit is pretty straightforward. It's a single LFO, a single envelope, a single oscillator, a single filter, a delay, and a bit crusher. So it's very minimalistic. And it's based on the old 8-bit consoles, think NES and SNES, and therefore it does what those consoles did and not much more. Well, a few little tricks, but we'll get there. Anyways, let's start off with the LFO. It's the first in the chain. You have your standard rate and your sync, and you have a few destinations: pitch, volume, cutoff, and downsample. Just for the sake of demonstration, let's keep it to pitch. Dial it in a little bit. Goes pretty fast, and you have a few shapes you can choose. And that's your LFO. Now you can only choose one destination. You have envelopes for both volume and pitch. So let's do a quick check for, not the pitch, but the volume. That's our max attack time. That's our max release time, so that's not extremely long. But definitely enough to get that fitting sound. And you also get a pitch envelope. Let's quickly initialize that. Now in the oscillator department we have fine tune and tune. 50 cents up and down, and the tune is 24 steps up and down. Volume, of course, waveforms next to that. We'll keep that on the side for a second. You also get a sub oscillator, which can go 24 steps below, 12 steps below. How about we turn it on? Or unison. And the fun thing is, with unison you can use the detune to get that unison sound going. Let's use fine tune. So that's very cool. It's always a so the sub oscillator is a squarish oscillator. It's a little bit sawtooth, but pretty much squarish. And this trick is especially fun with the fine tune to get that. Nice little harsh sound going. You can play in poly, or you can play in mono, and you can use the glide, of course. which can be pretty long. You can also do the polyglide. So that's our glide mode. We also have a filter. Very simple, very straightforward. High pass and low pass. Not many options. And resonance. Doesn't create any interesting harmonics or anything. It's just a very straightforward, very digital, simple filter. There is no filter envelope, as you can see, only pitch and volume. Next to the filter we get a delay, and it's actually pretty cool. You can time sync the delay or have it free running. A little bit weird that they use a percentage for this dial. I would expect milliseconds, but apparently percentage is what we get. It goes from pretty long to instant. You can also use this to fake a double oscillator vibe. Feedback all the way to 100% or 0%, and you get a wet dial to dial in the delay, so it's not a mix knob. It's actually dialing in the volume of the delay. And with a little bit of feedback and a very short delay time, you can get one of those pretty metallic kind of reverby sounds. Next to that we get a bit crusher and a downsampler. Actually, let's go to saw. For some extra harshness if we want to use that. And last but definitely not least, we have the oscillators. Now it comes with a whole bunch of pre-made oscillators, all fairly simple, triangle, squares, pulse waves. But you also get some weirder ones like voice, guitar, bell, noise, always useful. And underneath you'll find custom, and this is pretty cool. When you select one of the customs, you can actually go into a waveform editor. You can use the presets or randomize. And you can make custom waveforms, up to 8 custom waveforms per patch, which might seem a little bit weird because you only have one oscillator. But this actually ties into the next thing. Let's put it back at saw. And that's the sequencer. And here you can sequence a pitch, volume, cutoff, resonance, and the waveform, sample rate, and glide. So here you can actually use those custom waveforms. You can only drag up and down. There's no drop down menus. That's a bit of a shame. Double click, resets to square. And here you can do basic sequencing. You can randomize. It's per voice. this is where you can also do this with the waveforms. Now you can't set any limits to these parameter randomizations, so it's truly randomized, which always makes it a little bit hit or miss, but it's still fun to play around with. And you can also set the speed of the sequencer. And if you want to change the length of the sequencer, you can do it through the menu, where you have a sequencer steps, and you can reduce the amount of steps. A little bit weird that they put this into the menu and not just somewhere here, because there's plenty of space. Apparently that had to be in the menu. And that's basically everything MiniBit has to offer. Very simple, very straightforward. Now, you can also randomize all the parameters of MiniBit, which can be fun or horrible. Let's see what happens. And because there is no amount of randomization, the results get really extreme. So I don't think this randomization is all that awesome. What you can do, which is kind of cool, is you can actually parameter lock all the parameters, so they get these little locks, so they don't get randomized. So you can just randomize, for instance, one thing. So if you want to just randomize one or two parameters, like let's say these. But that's already a problem, because it also randomizes the empty custom waveform. So it's not incredibly useful, but the option is there. So let's move on to, also it remembers through the preset which settings are locked. So that's kind of cool. Let's move on to MiniVerb. So that's our basic patch again. Let's do a little bit of release. There we go. So MiniVerb is a reverb, actually quite. But it's also based on the old style 8-bit consoles, so it's very harsh and minimal. It's not one of those big lush reverbs, and it has a very small set of controls as well, to stay in the vein of this 8-bit workflow. So we got a pre and a post filter, which can be high pass and low pass. Probably easiest to make it entirely. Let's initialize and make it entirely wet. So there's our sound. So this is our pre-cutoff. And we have a post. These can be deactivated as well if you don't want to use them. Then you get the reverb part, which is basically a delay for all intents and purposes, because that's how old school reverb works. Once again, can be time synced or not, and you can do a stereo type of reverb effect by having two delay lanes. And you can create a bit of extra width. Or not. Mono or wide. It's a pretty cool sound, very old school. You get a vibrato as well, so you can add some vibrato into the delay. Let's get the dry in here again. So that's fun. And you get a bit crusher in your reverb. Which can also pitch shift. And next to that you have your mix dials. So it's not a single mix knob, it's a dry and a wet volume control. And again you have a randomizer, you can unlock your parameters if you want to. And that's about all the options you have in here. So again, it's a very minimalistic, very simple unit. It's all aimed at that 8-bit style, retro style sounds, which it works very well for. So let's talk about pricing and how reasonable this VST is and how likely it is you will want to have it. So if we're talking about MiniBit itself, it's 20 bucks European. MiniVerb is 19 bucks. So together it's 39 bucks, which is a considerable amount for a very simple setup. Because let's not forget that this can be done in pretty much any synthesizer, because it's a single oscillator, single filter, single LFO, very little routing. Like the only thing this has going for itself is the custom waveforms and this sequencer. So pretty much you can pick up Vital for free and you could get pretty much all these sounds from that. That doesn't mean that this VST is not any good. So they did sell it at some point as a bundle, the 8-bit bundle, which was I think 20 bucks for both of these. And at that price point, it's actually kind of appealing to me. Because having these very minimalistic setups means you hit the right mood very fast. You don't have to overthink things. It's very simple in the interface. It's very simple in the sound generation. Comes with a bunch of fun little presets which point you in the right direction. That might be a little bit low, a little bit much reverb. So you can get into that chiptune style very quickly. And that's kind of the neat thing of a plugin like this. There isn't too much to mess around with, so it really gets you focused on that one goal you're trying to achieve. So I really compliment AudioThing for that. Aside from that, it's really catered at people who are looking at these retro 80s chiptune sounds. If that's not your thing, this VST is not going to give you anything that you want, quite frankly. So that's my look at MiniVerb and MiniBit by AudioThing. Two interesting VSTs, very genre specific. Well, it's up to you to decide if it's something you like or not. I think they are pretty cool. So that's it for today, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and see you around.